Hello. Hi. Ooh, sorry. That seems a little loud. Hi. Hi, everyone. Welcome to your weekly ASMR stream of Matt Opens Toys. It's your weekly ASMR experience to give you the good brain tingles from me opening toys, which also gives me the good brain tingles. So, I'm sorry. That was dumb. Shouldn't have done that. Hi. Welcome back, everyone, to Matt Opens Toys. This is my first regular weekly stream of opening toys with my new second camera, my face cam, so face reveal. I've had a few already, but those were just Lego builds. My mother is ragging on me for starting my stream late, and I did start it late. I'm sorry. There was a number of factors that played into me starting a little bit late this evening. One of which was just, I guess my power had flickered a couple days ago, and that had turned my desktop off. Which, now that I stream with my desktop as opposed to off of the iPad, it just meant that I had to restart my computer before I could stream, and then get OBS up and running. So, yeah, sorry, I am a few minutes late. I said I was going to start at 8:30. I've been trying to give myself a little bit of a later start time on these Wednesday streams because it can be tricky. Sometimes having to stay a little bit later at my day job. It's been busy. Holiday weekend. I know that it's Wednesday now, but yeah, I don't know. Busy. What can I say? It's nice to be back doing just kind of a little toy focus. Some good old classic Matt Opens Toys. I think this extra light is maybe a little unnecessary. Yeah. I mean, I still need to work on the lighting situation for the stream, I think. That'll be my next egregious expense with regards to this hobby, is probably getting a unnecessarily competent lighting situation. But yeah, so anyway, what can I say? Welcome back. Matt Opens Toys. I am back once again working through this endless queue of toys that I've purchased in an effort of potentially getting rid of boxes. These are the ones that I'm going to open today. Yeah, I think I had gotten rid of these, the boxes for some of the other from the same manufacturer. I don't know, I kind of, now I feel like maybe the light was helping. Any thoughts? Kind of washes out up here, but I think it helps with me. Maybe that's a little better. I think that's good. Wow, this has been really riveting, exciting streaming material so far, I have to say, in my humble opinion. But yeah, well, let's get to it then, right? This is Matt Opens Toys, the Twitch channel where I, the titular Matt, open the titular toys. Very, very titular around here. So I've opened a couple things from this manufacturer on this stream already. They definitely weren't a manufacturer that I collected altogether that much from until somewhat more recently, I would say. When I guess they really came to my attention by virtue of the fact that they started to make the high-end, fairly accurate, and well-liked Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies figures. So the company I'm talking about, of course, is NECA. I started with the Turtles, and then I had decided to give their Ash Williams from Ash vs. Evil Dead, Ultimate Ash, purchase, and I was pretty impressed with that one too. I think that's another one of their nicer figures. And just kind of from there, I've picked up a few different things. There's a Ghostface that they had released that I think as well is very good. Then they just started getting licenses for things that I found a little bit more personally interesting, including a couple of the things that I'm going to look at today. I may open one additional thing besides the couple of NECA figures that I have. But this one is something that to begin with, I've never really had like any toys related to this. This is somewhat, I guess, of a little bit of a niche. I guess this may be kind of a first in what presumably might be a new line. I don't know what they consider this. I don't. Is this like Screen Gems? Real toys. So basically, movie properties is the subline. But NECA, yeah, they made a Kurt Russell Macready from The Thing. I actually like The Thing quite a bit. It's not necessarily a horror movie that I came up with, though I think I did probably see it the first time when I was still pretty young. But I do think it's a real banger of a horror movie overall. It really plays on just like those themes of paranoia, and of course, like the practical effects in it are pretty legendary. Yeah, just good body horror, good suspense. I mean, it's very tense. The Arctic setting for it as well. I mean, it's just there's a lot of very unique qualities. I'm sure plenty of people have waxed poetic about many a John Carpenter film, especially something as well known as The Thing. But I was a little excited to see that they were going to do this, and there was a pretty quick turnaround, I would say, from me being aware of them making this and its availability. I don't know, maybe they had announced it much earlier and I just wasn't really aware of it. But yeah, Kurt Russell in The Thing. I mean, look at just like the fun accessories that are going to be in this thing too when I open it, like just from an accessory standpoint alone. How are you going to pass that up? I've heard differing opinions with regards to people's happiness with the likeness of Kurt Russell in this. So, once we get it open, we can take a look and you can judge for yourself. I looked at it in the store and I don't. Let me get it out. Let's open some toys on this stream and then I'll give you my assessment, right? Okay. Yeah, so NECA is pretty interesting. I mean, you can tell that there's a lot of love and care given into it. They seem to have a pretty good team of sculptors that work for them as well. They don't really, you have certain companies, I would say, your other toy manufacturers, your Mattel, your Hasbro, for likenesses, they oftentimes will nowadays go with like a 3D scan of actors. With those big Hollywood blockbuster superhero movies, you can anticipate that they probably did a 3D scan of that actor for any number of reasons. A lot of 3D effects, a lot of computer graphics. in those superhero movies. So it's to be expected. I mean, obviously the Thing is an older film. I don't know the exact release date, but oh, there you go. Look, it references it on the back of this box. I assume this is fairly accurate to the release date in the winter of 1982. So 82. That predates me by about 4 years. So yeah, I think I was probably a teenager when I saw this for the first time. It was a movie that I had kind of seen little snippets and clips of on TV, and I don't know. My mom's a big horror fan. We probably might have owned it on VHS, or maybe we rented it. I kind of distinctly remember watching it once or twice with like my cousin, maybe my uncle. And again, I mean, in more recent years, I think I've revisited it. And like most John Carpenter movies of a similar time frame, I think that it really holds up. It's a classic, especially for a horror movie. It itself, I suppose, is a remake of The Thing from Outer Space. I think it's an improvement that they just called it The Thing. The outer space is implied, right? Kind of a plain backdrop in the box. And let's see. This is the figure in the plastic. Usually NECA is going to be a 7-inch scale. So this Macready would fall into that 7-inch scale as well. Now that we're in focus, I can maybe I can zoom in a little bit here. Yeah. So there we go. Kurt Russell's a handsome guy. And I think it's one of those tricky things. Like likenesses are a hard thing to nail. Overall, I would be inclined to say. Especially like I was kind of alluding to for the NECA sculptors, and especially kind of going back and dealing with a lot of these older movie franchises. You don't necessarily, you don't have the modern conveniences of there being existing like 3D asset models of these actors in these films. So, I think NECA recently, with regards to the Judith Hogue, April O'Neil toy, I think they kind of let you in a little bit on sort of the design and likeness process that they go through. I'm sure Kurt Russell or his representation probably had to sign off on the likeness for this, and overall, I don't know. I think it's a pretty decent job with regards to the Kurt Russell likeness. We'll give it a closer look. Let me get this guy out of this package. But yeah, like I was saying, I've been a little busy with work, a lot of long hours, generally speaking. But it's kind of, it's been like that for a little bit. I would say. I got a chance to kind of see what another potential job with my same employer could look like today, and it was interesting, very different than what I do currently. It's always a tough thing to decide with regards to what you do for a living. I've been kind of doing the same thing to a certain extent for like the last 8 years or so, and so there's an element of interest with regards to looking at maybe doing something new or different. Hello to my viewer who joined, whomever you may be. I was just taking a look at the likeness of this The Thing Macready Ultimate action figure, comparing it to good old Kurt Russell. I would say maybe not a perfect likeness, but it's pretty decent. We'll take a look at it here in just a second. I'm getting him out of his little plastic prison, as you can see right here. But just like your other NECA releases, it comes with a nice little collection of accessories that are relevant to the character. I'm kind of curious as to how far into the thing they're gonna get. I have to admit I'm not so much of an expert with regards to what NECA has released in the past with regards to some of these IPs. I don't know if they've already done the thing itself. I remember McFarlane used to have their Movie Maniacs line. That was in like the 90s and early 2000s. Where they did a lot of the things that now NECA kind of does, to a much more limited extent back then. They might have had a Jason and a Freddy Krueger, whereas NECA kind of nice and loud. NECA kind of some of their whole angle with everything is kind of that they do definitive versions of every version of a character. Like you can get a Freddy Krueger that's accurate specifically to Freddy, and it is an ASMR stream. I made that joke actually when I started this stream because I was actually whispering, and I hope for all of my viewers out there that do get the brain tingles that this is tingly for you. Yeah, don't worry. I will cease to do that, but that is just to give you a proper comparison of what a true ASMR stream from me would be like. So let's take a look at our buddy Kurt Russell. I had done a nice little zoom in on him. I also think there's a possibility my wife is asleep in the other room, and I don't think I could wake her up, honestly, but yeah. Oh my gosh. This is just me being bad about standing this guy up. Nothing about the figure himself is particularly difficult to make stand. So there he is. Get him nice and in focus there so we can take a look. Honestly, I would say on camera, I actually think that the likeness even comes across a little bit better than he looks in hand. I think some of that is because some of the color in person maybe looks a little bit less convincing. So some of the lighting that I have right now on the stream, I think, is doing it some favors. But like I was saying, I think a lot of these figures that are based off of kind of your classic movies and those likenesses. Ooh, excuse me. NECA tends to do a pretty great job with regards to like your texturing. So he does do his own stunts. He comes with some fun accessories. We can go through some of that. He has a total of 3 portraits, which, as I have explained in the past, are going to be different head sculpts. So basically you get a total of 3 heads. Only one that has those beautiful Kurt Russell locks. But you got another portrait right there, and then your a somewhat more alert, alarmed, angry head as well. So those You can also use his little cowboy hat in conjunction. I don't know that that would fit his non... I think that it's kind of specifically for use with these heads that have the little parka hood up. Because I want to say, and this is just me not really remembering, but based off of the picture on the back of the package, there you go. Some nice shots of the likeness and the nice little hat. Again, I think the hat is a specific reference to the movie. As usual, I'm not good at remembering particulars of movies. I don't think there's a single movie, honestly, that I would really be able to remember every scene in detail of particularly well. And it's been a little while since I've watched The Thing, just to... Oh no. Well, I undid a little loose knot that is on the hat, so I might need to like retie it, but I was just about to put it around his neck. Let me do that real quick. I was saying this has been a particularly... I have not broken the toy. It's literally a little string. This has been a real mile a minute exciting stream with the whole ASMR tone and just I think the overall pace. I haven't been I don't know. What do you want? High octane action? This is a stream where I open toys. I'm not playing Bloodborne, nor will I ever, because I'm bad at video game. I can't do it. I can't get that tied back on. So we'll just set the little sombrero head there in the back. And let's look at some of the other accessories. Perhaps my favorite inclusion of he comes with a nice little bottle of whiskey and a little tumbler glass of whiskey as well. This is, I would say, somewhat famously from the end of the movie. When he's kind of, the threat is conceivably dealt with, but possibly not. I know there's been, I would say more recently, a lot of, well, maybe not recently, probably since it came out in the 80s. Speculation is with regards to what exactly happened at the end of the thing, whether or not Macready himself had been replaced or if he was an alien and this and that. I think I recall something that I had read or something that I had heard as far as an interview where John Carpenter was kind of like, he pretends to be cagey about whether or not Macready was the thing or not. But that really was never intended that he was. I don't know. Fan theories about stuff. There's like... Oh, shoot. Maybe I'm getting that mixed up with Harrison Ford's character in Blade Runner. It's kind of the same time frame in terms of movies coming out. And to me, honestly, the same level of interest with regards to whether or not a main character is secretly... Like, if it doesn't affect the text of the film one way or another, like, the events are the same. I mean, it's a fun watch. I enjoy it. It's kind of like the, I think the same... I kind of think the same thing with regards to like Inception, where people are like, "Oh, was it just a dream? Was it a fantasy, or whatever?" I don't know. Doesn't ultimately impact the narrative that you're invested in for the majority of the movie. So it just feels like one of those things, like whether or not it's true or false. If it's so immaterial to the action of the film, then like what's the excitement with it being one way or another? I only care about that thing if it actually, makes a difference to the story that I'm actually seeing and experiencing and participating in. Just seems more like the kind of thing for like nerds to like obsess about. And I use nerds very derisively, even though by most metrics, I guess you could probably make certain rude implications about me and whether or not that descriptor would apply. Yeah, I couldn't really get him to hold his little tumbler of whiskey very well. But he comes with a number of other accessories. I do like the whiskey bottle. I like the inclusion of a little tumbler of whiskey. You can use that with so many other figures. Maybe if I were to ever actually open my movie, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I can have Raph or one of them just kicking back and enjoying some nice smooth, whatever brand whiskey that might be. There's some glasses that you can use with the little hooded head. Let me try and get those in place and we can take a quick look at that portrait with those glasses included. But yeah, I have to say, like, that sort of thing about whether or not if Inception ended on a dream or not a dream, like, that's not really interesting, is it? I mean, there's nothing particularly interesting. The exciting action of the film doesn't get altered whether or not it's a dream. And then, like I mentioned, your investment with regards to the characters. You've never seen Inception. I'm surprised. I mean, I think a lot of Christopher Nolan movies get credit for being smarter than they necessarily are, but they're just kind of like action blockbustery kind of things. It's fun. It's a fun movie. Again, even just from like a visual standpoint, I think if you don't give it too much credit and you don't overthink it, then just as far as movies go, it's very competent filmmaking, and again, a lot of little like very fun action pieces. I like getting a good shot of the likeness, but you're not really getting to see the full figure and then like the different things that come with him. So I'm going to zoom him out a little bit. There's the tiny little tumbler. He comes, of course, with a shotgun as well. And you got some like snow goggles that you can have him wear. That cool hat. And then the multiple portraits. There's also there's a little lantern here. If I recall correctly, in the thing, they test to see if you are infected or secretly an alien by like taking your blood sample and then exposing it to like either electricity or fire to see if it like freaks out. I would love more miniature glassware and booze. I'm sure that there's like a subline of Rement that is specifically about providing exactly what you're asking for, young Jackie. I'm sure there's some very beautiful, finely crafted tiny whiskey bottles and whiskey glasses. I feel like maybe the gloved hand's a little better at holding this, but actually neither of them are that great at it. So there you go. holding a tiny bottle of whiskey. Yeah, like I said, I mean, I'm a fan of this movie, and I thought the toy looked pretty cool, and I liked a lot of the accessories that came with it. I do think that the likeness is passable. It's more favorable from certain angles. So it's not a perfect likeness. It's not, I would say, something that is without its flaws, but I would say overall, again, it's pretty effective. I think looking at it slightly like from below in hand, it's a little less effective. Also, that hair is just there's so much volume in the hair in real life and motion that's one of those other things that's a little bit tricky to, I think, really get a good, accurate sculpt on. But not a bad job at all. He's one of their ultimate line, so they're priced a little higher. Good quality sculpt, nice quality with regards to like the material sculpting, and then again, like I said, the facial likeness, your mileage may vary to a certain extent, but overall I would say, very passable. Good paint quality, lots of accessories. These are priced at, I think, $29.99. So again, a little bit on the higher end, more of a specific like collector's item. I don't have a great excuse as far as why I got it. I don't have my old McFarlane The Thing toys to pose them with, and honestly, even if they make a bunch of additional things to go in this line, I don't know that I'm going to collect a bunch of it. But I liked the look of it. It looked like a pretty high quality figure, and I would say again in hand, it pretty much is. Much earlier in the stream, I talked about one of the first NECA toys that I had gotten, and it was an Ash Williams from Ash versus the Evil Dead. And I still think that, honestly, that one might be one of the best, especially with regards to likeness. But he, Bruce Campbell, especially older Bruce Campbell, is somebody that has like such strong features, and he's so animated in his expressions that I think, as with the next figure that we're about to open, I think that it's a little bit easier to go with those, to capture the likeness of somebody that has a little bit more of extreme features or tends to like pull more exaggerated expressions. I think that's just easier to do from a sculpting standpoint, which again kind of makes for a perfect segue into the next toy that we're going to be opening tonight on Matt Opens Toys. I opened a couple from this franchise pretty early in my streaming career, and that's Back to the Future. I remember, I believe when I had opened Doc, Marty, and then Marty from Back to the Future 2, I had mentioned that this was a toy that had been announced but had not yet been released, but probably one that I was maybe the most excited for, really. It's Doc Brown, the 2015 version. It was 2015 that they went to, yeah. I had to remind myself. But I just love the costume. It's so ridiculous. All of the concepts of future fashion, like, I know that they were somewhat intentionally designed to look ridiculous, but they're also the kind of thing that like appeals to a little kid. And I would say, in a lot of ways, I still think that there's a lot of things about it that are just aesthetically fun and funny. And I remember thinking that Doc looked really awesome in Back to the Future 2. I've watched them all again somewhat more recently. I think all of that was still prior to when I opened those the first two, the 1985 Marty, 1955 Doc, and 2015 Marty. I haven't gotten any of the I haven't gotten Biff or Griff. I don't know if I'm going to. I'm not quite as interested in that character. I mean, Griff is kind of fun with that, again, more crazy, like, punk future fashion. But I would say knowing that they were going to make this and get to this was maybe one of the main reasons why I had gotten any of the Back to the Futures in the first place. So there's the backdrop that comes with this Doc figure. This is the dumpster that they very unceremoniously drop Marty's girlfriend, played by Elizabeth Shue, into, and basically ignore her for, a good 70 to 80% of the movie. Yeah, I mean, what was the point of that character? I think I know things about, like, the production of Back to the Future. I don't know if I've mentioned it. I think maybe I have, but I listened to a podcast called Blank Check with Griffin and David, featuring Griffin Newman, who portrayed Arthur in the Amazon Tick show. But they had like a whole series where they were looking at kind of the filmography of Robert Zemeckis. Robert Zemeckis being the director of not just the Back to the Future trilogy, but also Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Forrest Gump. I mean, a lot of stuff. There was things that I had no idea that he had done. He did Castaway. He did the weird 3D Beowulf with Angelina Jolie. Back before like CG 3D movies were very common. And I guess they still aren't really that common with regards to that particular approach, thankfully. But yeah, so I mean, they gave a lot of insight with regards to like the production, and when they made Back to the Future, they weren't planning a trilogy. And so that last scene with Doc coming in dressed so ridiculously and saying, "It's your kids, Marty." They didn't really have anything planned. And so when they brought Marty's girlfriend, who in the first movie was not portrayed by Elizabeth Shue, but I don't remember the name of the actress, they realized that they didn't really know what to do with her in the story that they were telling. And so that's why she, again, gets knocked out by Doc within about like the first 10 minutes of the movie. And I think doesn't really show up again until like the end of the third movie. They're like, "Oh, why did we bring this girl along? This girl's gonna make everything so boring and lame." Like, not very cool, Doc. I don't know. You brought this girl along with you into the future. You shouldn't knock out. For one thing, you shouldn't drug or knock out women. Period. We're allies here on Matt Opens Toys. Never in favor of knocking out women. But yeah, kind of a weird move on Doc's part. But he's a pretty impulsive, impetuous guy. Especially, I would say, that version of that character. I always really enjoyed, they kind of put somewhat old age makeup on Christopher Lloyd when he was portraying Doc in the first Back to the Future. And so to kind of undo that so that he wouldn't necessarily have to wear that subtle age makeup for Back to the Future 2, they have that scene where he got like a skin rejuvenation treatment in the future. And so he just like peels that like layer of like old person skin off his face or makeup. Like I there was so much about him that I found really charming. And again, like from an outfit standpoint, this outfit rocks. Like it's so garish, it's so ridiculous and over the top. There's like the weird pineapple texturing on the pants. He's wearing like 2 layers of pants. He's wearing like this ridiculous like Jubilee yellow raincoat. There's a lot of details too on this outfit, like with regards to the boots. The boots have like these weird antenna. You know, a lot of people, of course, famously, there's a scene with Marty's like self-lacing Reeboks and whatnot. But like Doc Brown's outfit, like the translucent tie, all of that is just like, it looks great. It looks awesome. This toy too, just like with the Macready that we opened, comes with a variety of accessories, including the famous newspaper about, I don't know, Marty's kids turning out to be useless idiots in the future. It's weird. I mean, like the premise of Back to the Future 2 is a very weird thing. I remember, like, I don't remember. I mean, I'm not going to just repeat all the commentary that Blank Check went over about the Back to the Future series, but you should give it a listen. It's entertaining. If you want trivia about Back to the Future in that series, then you know, that mini series that they did is pretty fun. Like, it's a fun little listen. You can just listen to the Back to the Future episodes, and they get into all kinds of like little neat factoids, and I find it entertaining. I dropped an accessory. Yeah, so he comes with a variety of accessories, including hands. Matt Loses Toys is a fair assessment of how things typically go when I'm unpacking these things. You get a number of different Doc portraits. My favorite is perhaps this ecstatic expression. He looks pretty insane. But that's kind of like the joy of Doc, right? Is that he's like your crazy uncle, right? He's just sort of that crazy old coot. There's also that concerned one. Yeah, I mean, look at that expression. So you get 3 portraits there. And again, like I said, I mean, I think when you just have somebody that has like these kind of crazy over the top features, it's a little bit easier to get a passable likeness with them. Especially when they pull like kind of ridiculous expressions like Doc is known for. Comes with his briefcase of money from a variety of time periods, implying that Doc did a lot of time travel between parts 1 and 2. I'm assuming at some point they're probably going to start doing toys from Back to the Future 3, which is interesting. And I mean, honestly, there's some cool looks there. There's plenty of different like character costumes that you could definitely get into. You know, Marty with his little poncho with his steel plate underneath, going as Clint Eastwood. And then just, you know, old timey stuff. I don't know if they're really ever. I don't know if NECA's planning on getting the likeness rights to any of the ladies from these films. I think, like I mentioned, if they could get Leia Thompson, so that they could do like a Marty's mom from the first movie, and then she's in all 3. And if they could get Mary Steenburgen, is it Mary Steenburgen? I don't know. She plays Clara in Back to the Future 3, the love interest for Doc. You know, that podcast that I was talking about kind of mentions how Crispin Glover didn't really want to be involved in the sequels because he kind of mentioned that a lot of Marty's motivations and his rewards in the first movie are kind of very like superficial, and that there should be more of like a more of an emotional arc to that character. I mean, Marty, ironically, for being arguably the main character of those films, there's really not a lot to him. He's a pretty superficial guy. He's just kind of, concerned about his truck and then like financial wealth, things like that. The third movie kind of subverts that. In that podcast, they kind of speculate that the third movie is Robert Zemeckis trying to address some of those concerns of them being so 80s, in terms of what's the reward for the main character, what's the happy ending for them, so to speak, and is there a better way, like something that's more, a little bit less consumer oriented. I kind of like the glasses. I'm kind of inclined to keep the glasses, but it's a fun look. He will happily be posed next to my 2015 Marty. If they make toys based off of the part 3, then I just might pick them up. I don't know. I would like to see them do Clara. But having rewatched the trilogy of these films of Back to the Future somewhat recently, it is kind of funny, like just how tonally different the third one is from the other two. Because it is like, it's a much more restrained movie. It's a lot more just about like the emotional arc of the characters. It's primarily about a romance plot. And then also like Marty kind of learning to let Doc go. Weird relationship too. I mean, that's another thing that I think they kind of touch upon in that podcast, but having rewatched it, I think, it's satisfying that you kind of you get affection for the Doc character with the first two movies, and then you kind of see like some kind of significant growth, and then you get again sort of a satisfying emotional resolution to the Doc character in Back to the Future 3. So I really like Doc, and I'm watching the third one. I think I think the second one might still be my favorite just because of a lot of the aesthetic choices that they make, and it's a fun movie. Like, it's the most fun and kind of brain dead of the three. But having rewatched it, I have a new appreciation for part 3 because of those elements of, like, you take these characters that were kind of superficial and very of the 80s, and then you kind of give them an emotional arc and resolution that's probably more satisfying than they deserve, honestly. Like, they're not deep characters. Obviously, like, you look at Doc and Marty, and they were like the inspiration for like Rick and Morty, and Rick and Morty are still just basically kind of like the first versions of those characters as far as just being like so superficial, ultimately, or just like not kind of like emotionally or intellectually matured, like the actual Doc and Marty become when you go through all 3 of those movies. It's really just kind of like the initial state. And I don't know. I've watched a lot of Rick and Morty. It's funny because I've watched a lot of it, but I wouldn't necessarily consider myself a fan of it. It's kind of a show that I feel like, for one thing, the fan base is almost intolerable, and it's not as smart of a show as it thinks it is. And a lot of it is just kind of unpleasant too. So I just ask myself, why have I watched so much of it? There's a few very small elements that I do enjoy about it, but overall I would say, usually not worth the return on investment. Unlike the Back to the Future trilogy, which, I don't know. I know my wife, Liz, is not a big fan. And I completely understand like a lot of her reservations about it. And again, looking at like especially the first movie, and I would say maybe even the second movie, there's a lot that is just kind of that Reaganomics 80s era of stuff. But as a kid, I was a big fan of part two, again, for like primarily aesthetic and comedic reasons. And then having rewatched it all, I do think like when you watch all three together, they kind of make an interesting little triptych. I don't know. I don't feel like three gets a lot of play or like pop culture attention, but I would say it's maybe the thing that kind of puts a level of polish on it that kind of makes it more enduring. I know that a lot of the imagery and the plot points from the first two installments are maybe more what people gravitate towards and what kind of persists across pop culture and has kind of influence to other pop culture items. But I think three is maybe the thing that makes it worth the investment of your time. Because again, it's just kind of weird to have kind of superficial comedic characters have a satisfying emotional arc and resolution in a 3-film series. It's a lot of talk about Back to the Future. I think I did that when I opened the first set, but yeah, this let me kind of talk about Doc a little more. I do like Doc. I like Doc a lot. Maybe he kind of reminds me of my grandfather. Maybe a little. He's got big grandfather energy, big grandfather vibes. I have one more non-NECA toy that I'm going to go ahead and get to because I still feel like I have a little bit of time left on this stream before I absolutely lose all of my steam and energy. It's amazing how slow I do things on this stream. As somebody that's now spent like 4 hours streaming a Lego set and have very little progress for which to show, I've managed to just kind of talk and do a very poor job of showing off 2 toys. So thank you all for watching. I'm going to open one more toy. Give me 1 second to go grab that. Well, I'm glad you enjoy it. I assume, yes, so you enjoy my butt, is what you're saying. I'm going to become one of those streamers that just like, I hang out in a hot tub. And interact with chat. What do you mean demonetized? There's like an entire category for it here on Twitch, which is so weird. Like, I don't understand. What was I saying before we started talking about my butt? Yes, I'm glad that you enjoy it. I enjoy having you guys around while I again work through my embarrassingly large pile of toys. Continuing on the trend of just major motion picture toys. This is a different manufacturer. This is by Mattel. Mattel being the proud owners of the Jurassic Park license for the time being. This is the Amber Collection, Dr. Ian Malcolm, of course famously portrayed by none other than Mr. Jeff Goldblum. So I have to admit, sometimes when it's less about affection for the... oh yeah? What were you talking about Jurassic Park for? They're making a new one, right? With like all of these geezers back in it. I love Jeff Goldblum. I mean, he's just God, what a charismatic actor. He's so much fun in like so many movies that he's in. I watched a couple years ago for the first time. I had watched Earth Girls Are Easy, and he's so good in Earth Girls Are Easy. I really like him in The Life Aquatic. yeah, he's just great. I mean, Dr. Ian Malcolm as well is just like, he, I mean, he definitely has a specific type of character that he portrays, and it's just like this weird, like overwhelming, like oozy nerd sexuality. Um, like I don't know, there's an intensity to him that obviously it gets like played into quite a bit, and a lot of his characters I think kind of have that element to them. But you know, damn if he isn't good at it. I really like Jeff Goldblum, and so in addition to liking the character well enough, and liking Jurassic Park, I wouldn't call myself like a huge fan of Jurassic Park. I say that, and I think I've seen like the little glass of water, the chaos theory water. So now I have a little tumbler glass of whiskey, and I have a little tumbler glass of water. So I'm really building like a tiny miniature bar. I want to say, strangely enough, the Amber collection, I don't think that it's 6-inch scale. I think that like the NECA toys that I've opened this evening, I think that it's actually a 7-inch scale. I could be wrong. I don't really know. I could I'll do a little size comparison with the NECAs once I get Jeff Goldblum here out of his packaging. I think it's a pretty good likeness for 90s Jeff Goldblum. And what I was saying is that in addition to liking the character well enough, even though I don't think of myself as the biggest fan of Jurassic Park, the combination of the joy of just kind of having that character and having a solid Jeff Goldblum action figure. I think I've explained before, sometimes I enjoy the novelty of having little plastic likenesses of actors sometimes. I don't know. It's fun. I don't know why it's fun, but for me, I enjoy it. It gives me those good ASMR brain tingles. I also have a friend from high school who I always thought kind of looked a little like Jeff Goldblum, even though, I mean, probably he doesn't really. But yeah, I have a friend named Chris, and I, especially because his hair was kind of similar and he had similar glasses to like Dr. Ian Malcolm, especially in high school. Now he doesn't really wear his hair in the same style. So, no. Yeah, it looks like he's a 6-inch scale instead of a 7-inch scale. Because I would imagine that Jeff Goldblum's probably a similar height to Christopher Lloyd. So you can see there a little size comparison of Ian Malcolm and Doc. They're two doctors, Dr. Ian Malcolm and Dr. Emmett Brown. Oh, I'm getting a low battery notification. So I may not be able to stream for too much longer. I did something this time where while I was streaming, it left the display on for the T7, which is what I'm capturing the toys on. Yeah, I don't know if there's a good way for me to turn that on-camera display off, because I think that that's what's consuming the battery so quickly. If I do lose my toy feed, I'll probably be ending the stream. But again, I mean, I opened them. That's all I promise. This is Matt Opens Toys. As I, in my first couple of streams, would say, this isn't necessarily like a toy review stream or anything like that. Although, of course, sometimes I do remark upon the toys, but not Matt Plays with Toys, not Matt Reviews Toys. I just open them. If I opened them, I did my job. I did not lie. Well, let me do what I can. Ooh, I feel like, yeah, the video from that one's getting a little stuttery too. Maybe it's, let's see if we can get a good look at the Jeff Goldblum likeness before I lose my, he looks a little severe, but he's looking down more than, let's give him a little. Yeah, I think my T7 is just about ready to give up, sadly. This was my fault for leaving that back camera display on. I didn't mean to. So my bad. My apologies, everybody. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I turn it off and back on again, if that'll maybe help a little. Or let us stretch out our battery life for a second or two. Yes. This is definitely one of those times where if I had like graphics that were particular to my channel, I could do things like put up technical difficulty or be right back or something like that. Yeah, it's still doing the display, but I think maybe it'll turn off on its own in a second. You know, one of the things that I've been wanting to get for the stream is get a continuous power, a direct power to the T7. But honestly, considering how shallow the depth of field is on the T7, I've been wondering if maybe I shouldn't just get a different kind of camera to record with. I just got this webcam that you can see my beautiful face on. So I'm hesitant to do another investment into another video capture device when I have a perfectly good one. But I do think that sometimes fussing with the, yeah, more grown-up toys, I suppose, more techno toys. But I do think that sometimes messing with the depth of field with this is a little cumbersome while I'm discussing these small, finicky little toys. But yeah, I feel like whereas the Kurt Russell likeness looked a little bit better on camera, I want to say that in hand, this Jeff Goldblum likeness is a little bit more passable. He's got some mud there on his shoes because he's in Jurassic Park. But yeah, I would say in person, again, this likeness is probably a little bit more forgivable or acceptable, recognizable as Jeff Goldblum, the Bloomster. I would say there's an element of like the smirk and the hair that maybe don't translate. They don't capture on camera nearly as well. Since it's a modern toy, as usual, you're going to get some extra hands. So, hands. And you get this this ignited flare that's giving off a little flare effect. That's kind of neat. A walkie-talkie. A very 90s walkie-talkie. And then, as Jackie so astutely identified, the Chaos Theory glass of water. But yeah, he's fun. Mattel, I don't tend to get too much Mattel. I usually am pretty skeptical with regards to the quality of their toys, but again, I think this is a pretty nice little Jeff Goldblum action figure. And he will live happily with, surprisingly, I've gotten a few Jurassic Park toys recently. Like I got one of the Velociraptors from the Amber series somewhat recently, and it's pretty cool. And I got a Tyrannosaurus Rex around the holidays because there was like a good deal where if you bought a certain amount of toys at Target, they would just give you like a pretty significant discount, like a certain amount of money off. And so I kind of got him like very cheaply. Same thing for the Velociraptor. But yeah, I'm sure Dr. Ian Malcolm would like nothing better than to live side by side with that Velociraptor that I've got positioned up above my monitors there. Um, but yeah, I mean, as far as a Mattel toy were to go, the Jurassic Park line is pretty nice. I think Ian Malcolm is the first, like, just a regular human, and I mean, a great place to start. Like I said, I love Jeff Goldblum. If they do Sam Elliott's character, I would. Sam Elliott is another actor that I just really love. So I will be happy to have a little Sam Elliott in my collection. Even though I don't feel like Dr. Grant was somebody that I. Sam Neill, that's what I meant. Oh, God. I said Sam Elliott. Sam Elliott's the guy with the mustache, right? I don't know. Sam Neill is great. Sam Elliott is a different Sam. There's a lot of Sams in Hollywood. But Sam Neill is a wonderful actor, and he's been in so many really, 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 really excellent horror movies. When I think about like the timeline of them working on Jurassic Park, it was like Goldblum had done The Fly, right? Cronenberg. So like coming right off of a horror movie. And then Sam Neill had done like a number of horror movies, earlier in his career, which he is excellent in. There's like In the Mouth of Madness by John Carpenter that I'm sure must have been a little bit before Jurassic Park. And he's so good in like Possession and just awesome horror movie actor. Like some of my favorite horror movies have Sam Neill. But you have like all of these people that kind of worked in horror films, and then like Spielberg taps them and puts them into this like blockbuster, like 4-quadrant, like most successful movie of all time at the time. I mean, excellent casting choices. Laura Dern too. I mean, Laura Dern's fantastic, in with all of her different like David Lynch collaborations. Just like, man, that cast. I feel like so much of Jurassic Park gets ascribed to like just like the spectacle and the special effects still like holding up 30 plus years later. And then some of the practical effects. And it's a fun movie. Like it's a fun nostalgic movie. It's just a really fun watch. But the cast is so good. I mean, I love all three of the main adult actors, and then the supporting cast too. Even like Sam Jackson and I don't remember the actor's name, but the kind of heavy set guy with the password. I don't remember. The one that gets spit on his face. I don't know that actor's name. He was in Seinfeld. But yeah, just like everything in that movie is like pretty, like really, really well done. And excellent like choices. Yeah, I forget his name. Sorry, that actor. If you're watching this video on demand after my stream, since I don't know the reliability or the remaining battery life with regards to my camera, I haven't been doing as much really with the toy. But again, I do like this little Jeff Goldblum. I'm happy to have this little Jeff Goldblum. I think probably the Doc likeness was the best out of the three that I opened this evening. Just gonna line them all up. You can see even more so now how Jeff is in a different scale, because Kurt Russell, aka Macready, is quite a bit taller. But there they are. Three dudes from movies. I think, unfortunately, the Doc had the peg that's on the bottom of the head. I think it would be a little too small for the ball at the end of Dr. Ian Malcolm's neck. I'll give you one last terrifying look at this. There you go. Truly menacing, truly terrifying. A little something for your nightmares tonight. I live to entertain and menace people. Um, but yeah, so we opened some toys tonight. I before long I will continue to stream my daily bugle build and probably get very little done, as I have with my first 2 streams. It may actually take me 8 streams to get through that daily bugle. And then at some point, I will also build that Winnie the Pooh. And maybe I'll get a different camera setup. I do think that it works pretty well for the Legos because there's a little bit less of like zooming in on details and wanting to get, different aspects of the object in focus. I think, again, it does a pretty good job. I think the T7, it's maybe not the best tool for this. I'm sure that there's like camera buffs that are like, no, you just don't know how to use the T7. And you may be right. But if I don't know how to use it, what good is it doing me? But Jackie Ryan, if anybody else was watching me, thank you very much for watching me. If you're watching this in the future on my YouTube channel or even on my Twitch channel on video on demand, thank you for watching. I really appreciate everybody that hangs in with me and hangs out whenever I do start to open these toys. I still have a lot of other toys that I could open. Oh, there it goes. Yep, battery died. So what a perfect time for me to end the stream. Thank you all for watching, and I'll be back soon with more toys and more Legos. Toys every Wednesday, Legos whenever the heck. But that'll do it for tonight. Thanks. Night. Bye.